Welcome back to the Quotive Corner. Today's quote comes from one of the most read books in human history, and yet its lesson manages to get ignored constantly in boardrooms, on playing fields, in relationships, and yes, still on actual battlefields. Do not repeat the tactics which have gained you one victory, but let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. That's Sun Tzu from Chapter 6 of The Art of War, one of the oldest and most influential strategic texts ever written, composed sometime around the 5th century BC in ancient China. Sun Tzu was a military general and strategist whose work has been studied not just by soldiers, but by executives, coaches, diplomats, and anyone else who has ever had to outthink an opponent under pressure. The book is short, its sentences are dense, and almost every line has a life well beyond the battlefield it was written for. This one in particular. What Sun Tzu is identifying is a trap that seems almost too obvious to fall into, and yet almost everyone falls into it: the trap of success. Specifically, the trap of believing that because something worked once, it will work again under similar-looking conditions. In war, the logic is deadly clear. You developed a formation that broke the enemy's left flank in the last engagement, so you deploy it again. But the enemy has studied that engagement too. The terrain is different. Their numbers are different. Their awareness is different. The circumstances that made your tactic brilliant last time make it predictable, and predictable in conflict is dangerous. What won you one victory can walk you straight into the next defeat. But let's step off the battlefield, because that's where this gets really interesting. Think about the manager who had tremendous success leading a small startup team with a hands-on, high-energy, all-hands-on-deck approach. Then they're promoted to lead a department of 50 people. Same tactics, different circumstances. What built culture and momentum in a team of 10 creates chaos and bottlenecks in an organization of 50. The method didn't fail because it was a bad method. It failed because the circumstances changed and the method didn't. Think about the salesperson who landed their biggest client ever with a bold, unconventional pitch. So they run that same pitch on every subsequent prospect, regardless of what that prospect actually needs. Or the parent whose approach worked beautifully with their first child and applies it wholesale to a second child who is a completely different human being. Or the athlete who mastered one move that became so effective in high school that they never developed anything else, and then hits a wall the first time an opponent who has seen the tape knows exactly what's coming. The pattern is the same in every case. A tactic succeeds. The success creates confidence. Confidence creates attachment. Attachment becomes rigidity. And rigidity, meeting an ever-changing world, eventually breaks. What Sun Tzu is arguing for is something much harder than simply finding what works. He's arguing for adaptive intelligence, the ability to read circumstances freshly each time, to resist the seduction of your own past victories, and to ask not what worked before, but what does this specific situation actually require? That's a genuine discipline, because our instinct runs the other way. We are pattern-seeking creatures. We learn what works and we repeat it because repetition is efficient and comfortable and carries the reassurance of prior success. There's nothing wrong with that instinct in stable, predictable environments. But most of the environments that actually matter, relationships, markets, teams, negotiations, parenting, leadership, are not stable or predictable. They're alive. They shift. They respond to what you've already done. Sun Tzu captured this beautifully in the lines that immediately follow this quote. He wrote that military tactics are like water. Water flows around high places and finds the low ground, adapting its path to whatever terrain it meets. Just as water has no fixed shape, he says, warfare has no fixed conditions. And the commander who can modify their tactics to meet the actual opponent in front of them, not the opponent they fought last time, is the one worthy of the title. Water again. We've heard that metaphor before in this show, in a different form. Heraclitus and the river that's never the same twice. The ancient Greek and the ancient Chinese thinker, separated by thousands of miles and centuries, arriving at the same essential insight. The world is in motion, and wisdom lies in moving with it rather than trying to freeze it in place. Now, Grace Hopper warned us about, quote, "We've always done it that way." Sun Tzu is making a companion argument from a different angle. Hopper is pointing at institutional inertia, the danger of defaulting to old methods simply because they're familiar. Sun Tzu is pointing at something more subtle, the danger of defaulting to old methods because they worked. Because past success can feel like even more powerful justification than simple habit. At least habit is humble about its reasoning. Success tells you the method is validated, and sometimes it is. That's the honest counterpoint worth naming. Not every circumstance is so different from the last that you need to reinvent your approach. Some situations genuinely call for proven methods. The experienced leader who has navigated a certain type of crisis before brings something real to the next similar crisis. Pattern recognition, hard-won instinct, tested frameworks. The danger Sun Tzu is naming isn't experience. It's unexamined experience. It's assuming the map from last time still applies to this terrain. The distinction, and this is the practical heart of the quote, is the habit of assessing before acting. Before deploying what worked before, ask, what are the actual circumstances here? What's different? What's the same? What does this specific situation require, rather than what did the last one reward? That habit of fresh assessment is what separates adaptable leaders from brittle ones. It's what separates coaches who build dynasties from coaches who win once and spend the rest of their careers trying to recreate the conditions of that one season. It's what separates thriving relationships from ones that quietly harden into routines that stopped working years ago, but nobody examined. James Clear made the point that systems are what actually determine outcomes, not goals, not effort in isolation, but the daily infrastructure you've built. Sun Tzu is making the same point about strategy. The underlying principle matters more than any specific tactic, and the underlying principle here is adaptability itself. If you master adaptability, the tactics take care of themselves. If you master a single tactic, you've built a ceiling. So, where in your life are you running a winning tactic from a previous engagement, one that may have stopped fitting the current terrain? It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be how you approach a recurring conversation, how you handle a certain type of challenge at work, how you parent, lead, negotiate, or connect. The question Sun Tzu is asking isn't whether your methods are good. He's asking whether they're current. Let your methods be regulated by the infinite variety of circumstances. That's not a call to abandon what you know. It's a call to hold it loosely, ready to adapt the moment the ground shifts beneath you. Thanks for spending a few minutes here at the Quotive Corner. If this one made you look at a current situation with a little more fresh eyes and a little less habit, good. That's exactly what Sun Tzu was after. And don't forget that wisdom isn't in the quote, it's in the reflection. I'll see you soon in the next episode.